next question for you is with Epstein, okay? And I'm curious to know what position you're going to take with this, because on one end, we've been following the story closely. I know you have as well. Pam Bondi, Florida, you said vetting. A lot of people said they're not being vetted. I don't know if you were referring Pam Bondi as one of the people that wasn't vetted. I don't know how you feel about Kash. I don't know how you feel about Bongino. These are, Bongino is a very trusted guy by many people.
Yeah.
Big podcast, big following, respected, trusted. Even his enemies trust the guy. But when it comes onto the Epstein and the way it was announced, the way it was released, O'Keefe, was it O'Keefe Media Group came in, got Pam Bondi saying what she said, and then she came up and said, well, we found thousands of hours of footage and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden it was kid porn.
And I will say, the first mention of those videotapes, even as much as I love O'Keefe, it wasn't O'Keefe. The video caught Pam Bondi at a breakfast admitting that the tapes had child pornography on them. But the first mention of it was actually Roger Stone over a decade ago in his book, The Clintons' War on Women,
That's right.
when he was mentioning, all the flights, Lolita Express, going to Epstein Island, all that stuff, right? And he said that the files have it's in his book. He says the files have likely been destroyed, and a lot of it is child porn that will never be released to the public. I've known that for a while too, because I read Roger's book years ago. That being said, I think that it's been handled horribly. I am the reporter who broke this story about Dan Bongino skipping work 2 Fridays ago because he was contemplating resigning. And look, I stand by all of my reporting. Pam Bondi, as I call her, dropped the ball as it relates to the Epstein investigation. I don't think that she was the appropriate person to even be controlling this investigation. When you speak of vetting, it's very important that you look at people's conflicts of interest. Okay, it's very important that if you're going to have transparency, and this is one of the things that happens a lot with these vetting crises in the admin, there's not a lot of focus on conflicts. Well, Pam Bondi was the Attorney General of Florida when Epstein was getting away with raping kids and doing everything that he did. If they were aware, because as we saw, the Secretary of Labor, Alex Acosta, under the first Trump administration, submitted his resignation, if you recall, because they didn't vet him. Nobody bothered to ask him if he was involved in anything controversial, and he was involved in the I guess they call it like a non-prosecution plea deal, right? With Jeffrey Epstein, with the various FBI agents who we still don't know about. So that came up during his Senate confirmation hearing, and he had to resign because he said that it created such a distraction for the admin. Now, I want to know if that was enough to get Alex Acosta to resign from the administration, and that was in 2008 when that paperwork was signed. How come Pam Bondi, who only a year or so later became the Attorney General of Florida, okay, same time period, how come she didn't have to resign as Attorney General of the United States for not disclosing the fact that she was the Attorney General when Jeffrey Epstein was getting away with all this? Surely as the Attorney General of Florida, she would have been aware of a plea deal or some kind of intelligence gathering operation, which we already know from the files that have since been released that Jeffrey Epstein, as part of his plea deal, right, where he was out on release, was able, and I posted these documents too, was supposed to be sharing information with the FBI. Those are in the documents that have Alex Acosta's name on them from 2008. So we know that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with collecting info and sharing info with the FBI. So what made the administration, as much as I love the administration, think that Pam would be the person to do this when that's such an egregious conflict? Wouldn't you agree? I mean, if you were the Attorney General during the time that he was raping kids and getting away with all his crimes, why should you be the one? They should have known that this eventually was going to come up.
So then why, so if the President Trump is seeing one of his handlers, one of his leaders, Pam Bondi, doing what she did, the mishandling, and the supporters on the inside who, these are not the stupid losers. I'm talking about the people that are actually on the inside that are on Trump's side. They're saying, hey, this was a big screw up. How is he handling one of his people made a massive mistake, big blunder that they keep having to rehash? And then other people are like, no, this was actually a bad mistake. You got to fire Pam. You got to fire this. You got to fire that. How is he managing that?
Well, look, the president has made his decision. He's not firing Pam. Bongino was thinking of resigning. And from my understanding, the president had a phone call with him 2 Saturdays ago and was able to kind of, walk him off the ledge. It's great. I like Dan. I think he's great. But there's no denying that there's friction that exists between Kash and Dan and Pam. I mean, who releases a memo about something so consequential on a Sunday evening on 4th of July weekend? Who does that, right? You release...
Who approved that? Pam approved that.
Yeah, Pam approved it. Supposedly, there was a meeting, from what I was told, that took place in the Situation Room. And it was discussed by, White House advisors, Pam, Kash, and Dan. But they hadn't agreed, from what I was told, to a time when it was going to be released. And so Dan and Kash, apparently, from what I know, claimed that they were sidetracked about the contents of the memo and when it was released. Notice nobody signed their names to it, which is kind of bizarre and unprecedented. Generally, when a memo is released, somebody's name or logo's on it. There was nothing on there. That being said, Pam also just loves Fox News. She spends so much time on Fox News, and this is the problem. Was she playing an act? Like, was she trying to play into the energy of the base when she said what she said? The files are on my desk. Billionaires are leaving on private jets to flee accountability. I've seen these tapes. They're absolutely horrific. Blah, 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 blah. Like, what was she doing? Was she just lying? Was she caught up in the fame and all of the attention she was getting and everybody talking about her? Either way, whatever the excuse is, and obviously it's nothing but one big...
She doesn't give me vibes of that. I don't think it's like...
Well, whether it was deliberate or she just got carried away, it created a crisis.
Was the president in there while they're processing this with Kash and Dan, or no?
I don't know if he was in the room or not. I don't know. But I know that a meeting took place.
Okay, would Pam be able to release something like that on 4th of July Sunday at 4 o'clock without the president's approval?
I don't know if she could do it without the president's approval, or if maybe counsel or the DOJ or White House staff signed off on it. I don't know. That's the big question: is why was this released in the way that it was released? And I feel like there probably would have been more of an understanding with Kash and Dan and the president had everybody been on the same page, and that's what caused so much conflict. I think that people speaking out of line and I don't want to say over-exaggerating, because I don't know if they over-exaggerated. I don't know if they actually believe these things or if they were over-exaggerating when she says things like the files are on my desk, and she said that a lot of powerful people, and I'm sure you could find the clip, but there's a clip of her saying a lot of powerful people are, leaving the country right now, and they're getting on their private jets to escape accountability. Well, who? Who are those people? Why are you not making them a flight risk? Why are you not grounding them? How come DHS or flight marshals aren't grounding their planes? Like, if they're leaving the country, why aren't you stopping them? And there's so many questions and so many inconsistencies with the things that she's saying. And even today, right? Even the statement that she just released today. Consulting with the FBI, my office and the FBI have determined that we'd be happy to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently in prison in Florida, serving a 20-year sentence, to see if she has any information about anybody who's committed crimes against children. Well, why is this only being done now? How many years has Ghislaine Maxwell been in prison for? Are you saying that the DOJ and the FBI have never taken it upon themselves to interview her? How could you say in the memo that the case was closed when you had already determined that you were closing the case before interviewing Ghislaine? So now everybody's kind of wondering, wait a second, why did this memo say you were closing the case, but now you're backtracking and saying that you're going to go interview her? It's a reverse order, right? So it's a mess. It's a mess.
It is. And the longer she keeps doing that and has a job, it falls on the president.
Look, I think it's unfortunate. Yes, President Trump is the person who appointed her, and President Trump is the person who could remove her. But I also think it's a distraction. While I want to see the Epstein files released, and I do think it's of significance, and it's something that people, obviously care a lot about, President Trump never promised that he was going to release the files. And so, to the president's credit, I will say he was asked about it kind of, on the cuff by Lex Friedman on his podcast. And he said, I'll take a look at it, right? He said, are you going to release the Epstein files if you win? And he says, I'll take a look at it. It was never part of Agenda 47 to release the Epstein files. So a lot of people are attacking Trump, falsely accusing him of being a pedophile, saying he's a pedo protector. I think that's horrible. In the scheme of things, President Trump is doing an amazing job, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit that he deserves for all of the victories that he's had since starting his second term.
I think a lot of people give him credit. I think he's
there are
getting
so
plenty
many
of the
people,
credit.
and again, it goes back to this woke right faction that was shit talking Trump this last week, saying, I'm done with him. I'm not supporting him. People never should support him ever again. It's like, were you ever really with Trump? I think there's a lot of people that are looking at the fact that Trump's going to be gone in 3.5 years, and they're trying to pivot. They're trying to pivot to secure other financial opportunities because their grift of leeching off of Donald Trump and sucking the life out of him after he basically created them and gave them their careers over these last 8 years is coming to an end.
I fully am on the page with that one because that's a different story. I think
that's what I think.
Built a lot of people's careers, no question.
Like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. I mean, there's so many of these people,
I don't know if
right?
I would say Tucker. I think Tucker had a career before him. But I think, and I'm not even...
Well, after he got fired by Fox, he certainly created his career. I mean, Trump could have easily nuked Tucker. Those Dominion lawsuit records that came out with Fox News, Tucker Carlson, he said he hates Trump. He said that Trump is a satanic force. You could pull it up. You could pull these records up. Nobody wants to talk about this because it's like taboo in conservative media. Everybody kisses his ass.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is. What I'm saying is, what I'm qualifying here, Laura, is... Tucker had a job at MSNBC and CNN way before he got a job at Fox.
Yeah.
And Tucker's been relevant for a long time. Of course, not at the levels he is now. His podcast is doing great, top 5, top 4.
But that's what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that his independent career as not working for a major network, independent, Tucker Carlson
Network. You think
network.
It's purely on Trump? I'm a Trump guy, and a lot of people would say, like, I'm neutral with Tucker. I think Tucker, for a guy to be his age, to have his kind of money, to be on the road, traveling around the world, interviewing people, most people don't want to do that, and they're not going to do this. So I'm going to give him his credit there. Now, let me come back to the Trump side.
I just personally think that when I say it's on Trump, I'm saying Trump was very gracious after those text messages came out. What I'm saying is that Tucker, he's created his own platform and he deserves credit for that. But Trump could have easily nuked him, and I don't think he would have been as popular post the firing at Fox News had Trump actually given him what he deserved, which was a lambasting after those text messages came out. I mean, he was very derogatory, saying, the election wasn't stolen. I can't wait till we don't have to talk about Trump anymore. His supporters are a bunch of cousin effers. I mean, I'm not making this up. You can go look it up and see for yourself. Very derogatory things. Trump never nuked him. He could have put out one True Social post and nuked his entire independent career, but he didn't do it. And so
Why do you think he didn't?
I don't know. Maybe I think that President Trump is a very nice person. I know that he doesn't get portrayed that way in the media, but
I don't think he wants the people to know that.
But he's too generous, and I've told him this in my private conversation with him. I'm like, you're too nice. People think that Trump's some kind of monster that, I'm going to fire you, I'm going to ruin your life, I'm going to do this. He actually gives a lot of people a lot of second chances. And sometimes I've had conversations with him, Mr. President, this person effed you so hard. This person has done this to you. Why do you take their phone calls? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? It's just whatever the reason is that he says. It's mind-boggling to me in the conversations that I have with him occasionally because he's much more forgiving and gracious than people give him credit for. I mean, he really doesn't need to deal with a lot of these people. He doesn't need anything from them. And he really could have nuked a lot of people's careers, but he has decided not to. I don't know why. I don't know why he hasn't. But
I think you have to.
It's like self-restraint, but he is way more considerate of people's futures than people think. They think, he just wants to,
because he's a number one above everybody.
Yeah.
You have to be. You don't have to be. A lot of people don't have to be. He has to be. And I think I actually applaud him for the approach he's taking because the average person couldn't do what he's doing.
Yeah.
I actually applaud him for what he's doing. And that's why he's showing more signs of being president of America instead of just a president of a party, instead of a president. I think he is more and more getting closer to, becoming the where history books are going to say this guy went from 2016 the way he went about it the first 4 years and now the way he's doing in 2024. Very different approach.
Hey everybody, Laura Loomer here. I'm so excited to finally announce that I've joined Minect. So please be sure that you connect with me on Minect. I can't wait to chat with you, whether it be about politics, investigative journalism, or if you just want to talk to me about your furry friends and how you too can get involved in my passion of animal rescue. Whatever it is, I can't wait for you to connect with me on Minect. So be sure that you contact me today.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.